To understand what I and the team are doing, it's also very important that you understand my story. About 38 years ago, and well, 2 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, and I don't have a watch, 15 minutes, I was born in this city, in Ghent. A beautiful city filled with stories. Now, I'm not going to do the storytelling of Ghent today, but to start this presentation, I found it very important that you could see some of the stories that live in this area over here. Those are only a few stories. There are much more to tell. Now, talking back about myself, when I was young and people asked me, what do you want to become? My answer was always very clear. I want to be Steven Spielberg. Because I really loved the way that he could, well, make fiction or even things about facts and figures into a storytelling way and bring it to as many people as possible to bring out the message. I totally unexpected, got in contact with opera and the way opera is brought to people. So my first opera experience, I have to be honest, it wasn't love at first sight because it was a free invitation to the opera of the Meistersinger von Nürnberg. My first opera experience wasn't a good experience. And why? Because I wasn't prepared at all. I was sitting there all by myself in an opera that lasted for 4.5 hours. I didn't know anything what was happening on scene. I didn't see the subtitles because I had these cheaper seats. And the only thing I knew was it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And believe me, after 4 hours, I hadn't seen a fat lady even on stage. And right away after that opera, I went to a special cafe and I met Dirk Struijs. Now, I don't know if you know Dirk Struijs, but he is a really famous international casting director of really big opera stars, so he knows them also personally. And he saw that I wasn't interested in the opera, and he tried to convince me that there was much more about it. And he started storytelling, the story of the opera I had seen, but I didn't understand it. I was really convinced that opera, that everybody should have once in a lifetime an opera experience. So what I did was join a group of people who had the same idea, and for 4 years we traveled with 4 productions, Aida, Nabucco, Carmen and La Bohème, throughout the whole world. And we brought opera in really big venues. If you want to bring a message to people, go where they are familiar with, where they also go. So we brought opera in ice hockey venues, football arenas. We brought it in big basketball halls with 20,000 to 40,000 people at the same time. And hopefully also in the right time. So what I thought was, in industry, I wanted to do something extra. Not only think about business, but also thinking about what is the use to the society, what can we change? So I had a dream and I went to the government and I said, listen, what I really would like to make is a combination between, on one hand, people who know how you have to bring a story, and on the other hand, people who know a lot of stories. If we see a government, then we see a lot of people in heritage, culture, nature, people who know so many things also of doing business, how you should start up a business, what do you have to mind. And the thing is that most of those people don't know how they have to make a package so that the message, the right story, can go to the right people in the right formats and hopefully also in the right time. So what I thought was, if we have the directors, and we have people who have a certain expertise, most of the time, well, just write it down in enormous texts on websites or in books that a target group is reading, but not the community is reading. If you put them together and they make storytelling about it, audio, video, and we mix it with technology. What if it would be possible to travel through a landscape and full automatically get the stories of that landscape, stories of history, of culture, of nature. And when I showed how we rearranged culture, nature, stories into something storytelling and brought it to the people on something high-tech meets high-touch, and the government of Belgium was interested. So soon they became a shareholder in our company because they wanted to have new things. And one of the new things that we managed to do is this. This is not about culture, this is about education. If people, it's a new action that we are preparing also with government, if people scan the QR code on the belly of the teddy bear, and they just had a baby, then they get information about how they should care about a baby, things about health and so on, even lullabies, but all things are made with doctors. So it's really not just telling what to do with a baby by means of text and books, no, it's storytelling. Now, the project that I also want to talk about today is something completely different that I'm doing with Navitel also, because I have had really great years with Navitel, but just 6 months after we founded the company, I got really terrible news, the fact that I had cancer. So that man over there, my companion, and some other guys, because they all couldn't be here over there, had to live with someone who had a vision about storytelling, but wasn't able to be in the company for 2 years. And that's while we just, being entrepreneurs, had taken a really big loan to be able to survive. Now, during that period in hospital, of course, I learned very important things. We help people who have a disease, cancer, diabetes, people with heart diseases and other things, that step by step, they get everyday storytelling, not just about their disease, but what they should eat. They see recipes. Day 1, cook like this. Day 2, do this. And it's not just the chef-cook who is there, but also the doctor is involved in the thing, and companions, people who also know what that disease is all about. And it's not just about cooking that we're preparing things, we're also preparing things about, well, being fit, doing exercises, not on a boring way, but on mobile ways, so that you can get the right coaching to people who really need it on that very moment. Now, it's an experiment we are doing. It's a first project. About 100 people will be involved that all have different kinds of diseases, to see if technology can be the key to help people that are one day on the other confronted with something terrible and think, how does this have to go on? Talking about rules, and today I'm really convinced that also about things like rules, it's not so, well, magic storytelling that you can do like history and food, but even concerning rules in very several things, I'm convinced that if you package the message in a good way and you start explaining why rules are rules and you're able to bring them to people and there's interaction with those people. I'm going to give a last example. In Limburg, we are helping out the restaurant industry and the hotels industry because due to the crisis, everybody seems to be in problems, also the tourism. And the thing is that the government over there is going to give subsidies to help them. But it's not on the normal way they're doing that. They have prepared a storytelling tour throughout Limburg, passing several hotels and restaurants and explaining their rules and regulations about how you can get extra money if you do this or do that. So they don't do it just like we do over here by talking to people. No, they take the people outside to see examples, explain it to them so that they learn. And if they don't have the time to be there at that moment, there's still a mobile version that they can do it every day. So even about rules and regulations, you can make, well, a sexy product out of it so that people really are interested in the whole picture. Voila, hopefully I managed to bring the right story to the right people at the right time and place. I thank you very much for being so attentive. Thank you very much.